The story of the Ottoman Empire is one of extraordinary ambition, conquest, and influence, but also of gradual internal decay and external pressures that ultimately led to its decline. Emerging from the Anatolian heartland in the late 13th century, the Ottoman Empire grew from a small Turkish principality led by Osman I into one of the most powerful empires in history, spanning 3 continents. For centuries, the empire was a hub of political, economic, and cultural influence, controlling major trade routes, fostering a rich artistic and architectural heritage, and dominating global affairs. However, its success would eventually be undermined by internal struggles, shifting economic trends, and mounting pressures from European rivals, culminating in the dissolution of the empire after World War I. Founded by Osman I around 1299, the early Ottomans were skilled fighters who benefited from the weakened Byzantine Empire and the fragmented political landscape of Anatolia. Osman's successors capitalized on these conditions, advancing into Byzantine territories and solidifying their influence in Asia Minor. The capture of Bursa in 1326 provided the Ottomans with a foothold and the first capital, symbolizing the start of an empire. From here, the Ottomans steadily expanded, blending military strength with strategic alliances and religious tolerance, which helped integrate the diverse peoples they conquered. One of the most significant turning points came in 1453, when Sultan Mehmed II, known as Mehmed the Conqueror, captured Constantinople, renamed Istanbul. The city became the empire's capital and a center of trade, culture, and politics. This conquest marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and established the Ottomans as the dominant power in the Eastern Mediterranean. Mehmed II transformed Istanbul into a vibrant imperial capital, embracing scholars, scientists, artists, and traders from across the world. His reign laid the foundation for what would become a golden age of Ottoman culture and expansion, a legacy continued by subsequent sultans. By the early 16th century, the Ottoman Empire had reached its zenith under Sultan Suleiman I, also known as Suleiman the Magnificent. Suleiman's reign, 1520 to 1566, is often regarded as the peak of Ottoman power, both territorially and culturally. Under his leadership, the empire expanded its territories to include parts of Eastern Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. And he established a legal framework that came to be known as the Qanun, which balanced Islamic law with practical governance. This legal system not only stabilized the empire, but also set a standard of justice that earned Suleiman a reputation as a wise and fair ruler. The empire's influence extended across the Mediterranean and into the heart of Europe, as Ottoman forces advanced as far as Vienna, threatening the Christian kingdoms to the west. The Ottoman navy, under commanders like Hayreddin Barbarossa, dominated the Mediterranean Sea, securing crucial trade routes and protecting Ottoman territories from European powers. Culturally, Suleiman's reign was a flourishing era for Ottoman art, literature, architecture, and science. Monumental buildings like the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul, designed by the renowned architect Mimar Sinan, became symbols of Ottoman grandeur and Islamic art. Suleiman's patronage of the arts and sciences fostered an environment where poets, mathematicians, astronomers, and artists flourished. Early signs of decline, internal struggles, and European competition. Despite its strength, the Ottoman Empire began to experience strains by the late 16th century. The military structure, particularly the Janissaries, an elite infantry unit originally composed of enslaved Christian boys who were trained as soldiers, became increasingly powerful and involved in politics, often acting as kingmakers in succession disputes. As the Janissaries grew more autonomous and corrupt, their allegiance to the Sultan weakened, and they sometimes turned against the very empire they were sworn to protect. Additionally, the system of governance, once efficient, began to face issues as local governors and officials sought more autonomy and independence, often challenging the Sultan's central authority. The rise of European powers like Portugal and Spain also altered the global economic landscape. The discovery of new sea routes around Africa and to the Americas reduced the importance of the Ottoman-controlled Silk Road. As European merchants bypassed Ottoman territory, the empire's economy, once bolstered by trade monopolies, began to suffer. The economic imbalance was further strained by inflation brought on by the influx of silver from the New World into Europe, which destabilized the Ottoman monetary system. By the 18th century, the Ottoman Empire was being referred to as the sick man of Europe, a term that reflected its weakened state and the geopolitical interests of European powers who saw the Ottoman territories as valuable spoils. The Ottoman administration introduced several reform programs to modernize the empire, notably the Tanzimat reforms in the mid-19th century, aimed at restructuring the military, legal, and administrative systems. These reforms included new legal codes, a secularized education system, improved infrastructure, and attempts to modernize the army. However, the Tanzimat reforms faced resistance from conservative factions within the empire, who saw them as threats to Islamic values and Ottoman traditions. Simultaneously, the empire faced growing nationalist movements in the Balkans, North Africa, and the Middle East. Inspired by European ideas of nationhood and self-determination, various ethnic groups sought independence from Ottoman rule. Serbia, Greece, and other Balkan nations achieved independence through rebellions and wars, further diminishing the empire's control over its territories. Each loss weakened the empire financially and politically, diminishing its influence and leaving it vulnerable to the ambitions of European powers like Britain, France, and Russia, who frequently intervened in Ottoman affairs. The Ottoman Empire's involvement in World War I was a fateful decision. Aligning with the Central Powers, Germany and Austria-Hungary, the Ottomans hoped to regain lost territories and restore their former glory. However, the war proved disastrous. Ottoman forces faced severe defeats, particularly in the Middle East, where British-led forces, often supported by Arab nationalist movements, dismantled Ottoman control. The empire's economy, already weakened, was further devastated by the war, and Ottoman society was torn apart by the hardships of wartime. In 1918, following the armistice, the Allies occupied Istanbul, and the Treaty of Sèvres was drafted, effectively partitioning Ottoman territories among the victorious powers. The loss of lands and resources, coupled with the humiliating occupation of the Ottoman heartland, sparked a nationalist movement in Anatolia. Led by Mustafa Kemal, later known as Ataturk, this movement resisted Allied plans and sought to establish an independent Turkish state. After years of conflict, the nationalist forces succeeded, and in 1923, the Republic of Turkey was established, officially ending over 6 centuries of Ottoman rule. The dissolution of the Ottoman Empire marked the end of one of the longest-lasting empires in history, but its legacy endures. The empire left an indelible impact on the political, cultural, and social landscapes of the Middle East, North Africa, and Southeastern Europe. The Ottoman legacy is seen in the architecture of Istanbul, the legal and cultural traditions across former Ottoman lands, and even the complex political dynamics that emerged in the Middle East after the empire's fall. The Ottoman Empire's rise and fall serve as a remarkable narrative of both resilience and vulnerability, highlighting the complexities of governing a vast, multicultural empire across centuries. It was an empire of striking achievements, from monumental architecture and scientific advancements to sophisticated governance. But it was also one that struggled to adapt to a rapidly changing world, unable to fend off the pressures of nationalism, economic shifts, and military competition. The story of the Ottoman Empire remains a powerful reminder of the challenges that come with holding an empire together in a dynamic and often unforgiving world.